Why did you stab your mom?
Bitch, okay? That's straight up honesty. Bitch. Okay? Deserve it.
These were the chilling moments when murderers were interrogated after committing heinous acts, beginning with the most brutal of them, Chris Watts, who murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters in the most unthinkable way. The Chris Watts case is one of the most disturbing and haunting cases in recent history. What makes it particularly chilling is not just the crime itself, but the way it all unraveled during the interrogation.
You've done very good in talking to me about this really hard conversation you guys had, okay? Very good.
On August 13, 2018, Chris Watts did something terrible. After arguing with his wife, Shannon, he strangled her in the bedroom. He wrapped her body in a sheet, put it in his truck, and placed their 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, in the back seat next to her. Watts drove them to an oil field, where he smothered Celeste with a blanket. Despite Bella begging him not to, he then killed her too. He hid their bodies in oil tanks, trying to cover up his crimes. However, with the CCTV and keen eyes of an observant neighbor, the police were able to identify Chris Watts as the prime suspect for the missing people.
Yeah, we can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making us turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the car pulling a ear trim. So, unless they pulled right here, yeah. But I would have caught her walking out. Not acting right.
No.
Never rocked her back and forth. He never moves his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? And that's pretty recently.
Yeah. He doesn't look worried. He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks. He's normally quiet, real subdued. He's over here telling you 3 times what he took out, what he did. He's very, he never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious.
The interrogation began with the investigator asking a behavior-provoking question.
When we find the guy who took him, what do you think we should do?
Usually, when this question is asked, an innocent person would waste no time in suggesting the highest possible punishment, especially owing to the fact that they had already been inconvenienced by the rigorous process of being a prime suspect and the focal point of the interrogation. However, Chris's reaction to this question gave the investigator all the answers he needed.
When you find the guy, when we find the guy, you're gonna come. Life in prison would be that's what I would think, the 2 kids that are involved. Why did you hurt them? The big top. I'm not sure if that penalty is even used. Is it used in Colorado? I'm not sure what is the death penalty.
The investigator, who grew increasingly suspicious of Chris, began trying to put him off with more provoking questions. Chris Watts, however, continued to maintain a calm demeanor and insisted that he knew nothing about the disappearance of his wife and kids, even to the extent of portraying himself as the victim of the case, a move an investigator anticipated.
She was a girly girl. I mean, if these kids are not alive, there's nothing you could do to cope with that, to make me cope with that, if those kids are not okay. So I need to ask you about your marriage and infidelity. Okay, tell me about it.
Unknown to Chris, the investigator was aware of an ongoing relationship between him and a woman named Nicole Kessinger. However, the investigator only asked that question to test Watts' deceptive resilience. Following confirmation of that, The investigator proposed something really tricky.
Would you take a polygraph? Sure. Okay.
A polygraph test was proposed, and Chris Watts consented to that. Unknown to him, he was about to face one of the best investigators he could ever encounter in his life.
Chris, how are you?
Sit on this?
Yep, I know. I'll explain what that is here in a little bit, but you don't have to worry. Obviously, you're probably nervous about taking today's test. Honestly, I would think something is wrong with you if you weren't nervous about coming in here to take a polygraph. Yeah. Even if people are like, I don't have anything to hide, it is nerve-wracking. And I have taken tons of polygraphs, obviously, in my training. I went to 10 weeks for training. I've been a polygrapher for about 5 years. I went to the best school in the country. So I want you to have confidence in the fact that if you had nothing to do with this disappearance, like, we're going to find that out today, okay? I have the best training that they offer in the United States. We use the most validated testing. That's the way I'm going to ask you the questions. So believe me, if you had nothing to do with this, I will be able to show them that today.
This is psychological pressure disguised as reassurance. It's not a routine procedure during the pre-test phase of a polygraph exam, yet this technique will be used when the suspect's guilt is almost conclusive. Polygraphs are not a foolproof system, and they can be beaten, but with a heightened state of anxiety, it becomes considerably more challenging and unlikely. On this occasion, the polygrapher distinctly applies this technique for maximal effect.
There's only two ways you can fail a polygraph, okay? The first way would be if you fail to follow my instructions. I'm going to give you a lot of instructions today about how to sit still, how to answer questions, things like that. So if you fail to follow those instructions, you will not pass today's test, okay? The second way would be if you choose to lie to me today. You know, if you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today. Exactly. Right? Like, it would be really dumb. Like, you should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance, okay? What are ways that you can make someone disappear?
I mean, like, if you talk about, like, what I've seen, like, on the movies, or, like, how people, if you read about other people, I mean, you hire somebody.
Like a hitman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
No, that's what I want. That's what I want, because I want you to go through all of these scenarios in your head, because I want you to know for sure what I'm talking about when I say that, you know, asking you if you physically caused her disappearance.
Okay, like you'd hire somebody, or you have somebody you know that would do it. I mean, it's like, it's hard. It's a hard question.
I know this stuff.
It's a hard question to answer.
Right.
Because it has nothing to do with this disappearance.
Right.
So, like, I don't even want to think about, like, if you're asking me, like, how I would do it. Like,
anyone. Like, how would anyone cause someone else's disappearance?
I mean, you would. I said, like,
you could cause someone's disappearance by murdering them.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So what different physical ways could you cause someone's disappearance through murder? You could stab someone,
stab someone, shoot someone, hit them with a blunt object. What is there? I mean, use a weapon like gun or knife. I mean, you could.
You smother someone. You can strangle someone.
Hang someone. I mean, yeah, you can. All that kind of things. I mean, it's hard to even think about that kind of stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. So you could strangle someone. You could drown someone.
Yeah.
You could shock someone to death. You could burn someone alive. What other ways can you think of?
As far as like lure them into a trap, I guess.
What do you mean? What?
Like, like have somebody waiting like around the corner and like, all right,
sure.
They're in a coma?
Sure. So if I ask you that question on the test, Chris, are you going to have any issue with that? About you physically causing
going through every single one of those?
Yeah, like that would be a way you could cause someone's disappearance.
Okay. No, I can definitely, I can pass. I mean,
you can murder them, you can kidnap them, you can take them to another country, you could, bury them in your backyard. You could do a million things.
Yeah.
As far as trying to conceal them.
Yeah.
Right? So that no one can find them.
Yes.
Because at this point, she's gone. So when I ask you the question on the test, I'm not asking you about guilt. I'm not asking you about, did you make her feel so horrible that she ended up leaving? I'm saying that you were the one that physically caused her to disappear.
Okay.
Either by murder, kidnapping, all of those other things that we went through, okay?
Do you want me to list all those? Like,
No.
Okay.
You're just going to say no to that question.
Okay.
Right. When I ask you if you physically caused Shanann's disappearance,
Okay.
your answer should be what?
No.
Right. So do you have any issues with that at all? And
No.
or have any question about what I would mean when I was
No,
would be
that's
asking
total.
them?
I just like going through all those
You're going to be taking what's called a directed lie polygraph. So what that means is there are going to be questions on the test where I want you to lie. I know it seems kind of weird, but you're going to know which questions these are, and they're going to be easy to answer. They're all going to start with before 2018.
The directed lie test has 3 types of questions. Known truth questions. These are easy questions to answer, such as, are you sitting down? Or, are you wearing shoes? They serve 2 purposes. The first purpose is to provide a baseline reading for when the subject is telling the truth, and should elicit very little bodily responses. The second purpose is to disconnect the examinee's thought patterns between each question as a means for resetting their cerebration for a more accurate reading. Control questions. These are what the polygrapher just explained to Chris. Whenever she says, before 2018, at the start of a question, Chris will know he is purposely supposed to lie. Each of these questions are deliberately constructed that all answers will be responded with no. Relevant questions. These relate specifically to the crime being investigated, and the examinee will know that they are supposed to respond truthfully. A guilty subject will show a much stronger reaction to the relevant questions than to the control questions, even though they will be lying on both of them. This is due to the immediate threat posed by the relevant questions.
So I'm going to say before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about? And you're going to say,
No.
because you're telling a
Lie.
Awesome. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Did you write the number 1?
No.
Did you write the number 3?
No.
Did you write the number 5?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. You can relax. And feel.
This is the last time the polygrapher will have any correspondence with Chris before the real test begins. She gives him an initial compliment in a reassuring tone.
You did great.
That was.
You remembered to lie and everything. That was awesome.
That was.
This momentary boost in his confidence is then abruptly ripped away as he receives the following information.
So, you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like, the second you tell a lie, like, they can tell, like, on your face that... Because the second you lied to the number 3, like, I don't know if you heard me clicking, but I, like, turned down the sensitivity because you were starting to go off the page. So, that is what I need to see as a polygrapher, because that tells me that you know it's wrong to tell a lie. And you're actually having a significant reaction when you lie, so that is awesome. So thank you for being a horrible liar. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to be good liars, so thank you for being a horrible liar. And that just shows me that, obviously on the test when they're asking, significant stuff about your wife, if you're lying to that, it's going to be even 10 times more amplified. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much, more than you know. So that was awesome. All right, you ready?
Do it.
The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Do you understand that I will only ask you the questions we have discussed?
Yes.
Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever lose your temper with someone you cared about?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Before 2018, did you ever say anything out of anger to a loved one?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Are you now in the state of Colorado?
Yes.
Before 2018, have you ever wanted to hurt someone to get even with them?
No.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
After failing the polygraph test completely, the investigators pressured him to cut to the chase. He was reluctant at first, which had been the highlight of the whole interrogation. However, the investigators, being the smartest in the room, presented a bait which seemed like a way out.
There's only one person you wanted here most, and it's your dad.
Yes.
What would you tell him?
I love him, and I just want him to be by my side.
Okay. He knows more than we do that you're a good man. And he knows as much as you want to protect your wife, Shannon. I think he would tell you to do the right thing. Before we get him.
Can I go out there and talk to him?
Well, I don't know that you want to do it out there because there's a lot of people going through the halls. Should we bring him in here?
I'll step out. Okay?
Do you need a few minutes with him? Okay. I know you'll do the right thing. I do. I don't know how long it's going to take. I think that you need to think a little bit more about them. Okay?
And you need to realize that your dad is not going to stop loving you no matter what you tell him. You are his child. And he will not stop loving you.
Never.
Ever.
And this is not the last chapter in anyone's story. At all. Okay? Hey, Chris, we're going to let you have however much time you need, okay?
Okay. You gonna leave us in there or no?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not anybody here for very long.
Unless, polygraph. Failed it.
Failed it.
Yeah, because there's
Too much emotions.
So I mean, they're not gonna let me go.
Is there any reason why they shouldn't?
They know I had an affair. And they know. I can't complain about that.
They know you had an affair.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to tell me? What's going on, or what happened, or anything? Or you know anything about?
When we had that conversation that morning, it was emotional. It was told her about separation and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Protect her.
What?
I don't want to protect her.
You don't want to protect her?
I don't know what else to say.
What happened?
Huh?
She hurt him?
Yeah. And then I freaked out.
What now?
I freaked out and I hurt her.
You hurt her.
The tension in the room reached its peak when Agent Lee asked, "Will you tell us what you told your dad?" It was a moment of unbearable suspense. Watts, feeling the pressure from the investigators and the comforting presence of his father, had a critical choice to make. He could have asked a lawyer or shut down completely, which might have thrown the case into uncertainty. But instead, Watts, desperate to manipulate the situation, continued talking. He thought he could outsmart the investigators, but in doing so, he only sealed his fate.
Will you tell us what you told your dad?
After that conversation we had, and she accused me of the affair, and she, in her heart, she knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew about the dinner the other night. It was too much for just me.
She knew about what now?
When I told her I went to Iraq.
You told her about your separation?
Well, that was when I was upstairs in bed. And told her, what I wanted and they called it a separation. And that's what I want. I was shaking. Like both my kids were blue and they were gone. And just like blind, I'm not that person, like, I'm just like, she hurt my kids. Like I had to do the same thing to her.
What happened after she was in her bed?
In there, and I didn't know what to do. It was pull the sheets back and just cover her up.
This interrogation is terrifying, not just because of the admissions, but because of the way Watts' mind worked, trying to navigate his lies while trapped in his own web. The moment he lost control, when he began to reveal the horrific details of what he had done, is when the true horror of the situation sunk in, not just for Watts, but for everyone watching. His chilling confession left the investigators with no doubt about the heinous nature of his crimes. The next case takes us all the way to Pensacola, Florida, where 23-year-old Nicholas Naring is awaiting to be questioned about the murder of 26-year-old Joseph Ross. Earlier, Pensacola police received a distress call about a shooting by an unknown gunman. Upon arrival, they found Joseph Ross on the ground with 5 gunshot wounds to the chest. He was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead later that day. Witnesses reported seeing Joseph arguing on the phone before a red Dodge pickup truck appeared and followed him. Moments later, gunshots erupted from the truck, which then sped away. When the officers informed Joseph's brother, his response unknowingly gave them their first big lead in the case.
You know anybody that drives like a red Dodge pickup truck?
Yeah.
Who?
My friend Nick does.
Has he ever gotten into it with your brother before?
I mean, I don't think they're on the best terms. Nick's really, he seems like he's crazy. I wouldn't really want to mess with him.
Due to acquired data placing Naring at the scene of the crime, detectives arrested him that night and also discovered the firearms from him, including a gun which was believed to be the murder weapon. Now in the interrogation room, Detective Danny Barnett begins questioning the suspect.
Did you talk to John tonight?
A little bit here and there. I mean, just see what's going on.
What's going on with
He's
John?
been invasive with me, to be honest, lately.
Okay. What did you talk to him about tonight?
Nothing seen when he was up there. I wanted to hang out with him, and he said something about some bullshit or something. You know, talking about quit talking, calling my phone or something. I was like, okay, whatever.
Did you ask him anything before that?
Nope. I was trying to call him and hang out with him.
Is there any reason that your truck would have been at the CVS around the corner from his house tonight?
No. It shouldn't be.
Then how was it there?
I don't know.
The reason that it was there is because something happened there. Okay? The reason something happened there is because of an altercation, I guess, of sorts. And you're kind of tap dancing around it. But ultimately, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we know the result of what happened. Now, how that came about, I don't know. And who can answer that? Well, one of the people that can answer that would be yourself. Now, you can choose to be deceptive all you want, okay?
I have no
But
reason
let
to
me-
be on this side of town.
Let me point something out to you.
The investigator then tries bluffing, which is a legal and accepted way of interrogation, in a bid to elicit a reaction from the suspect.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were.
How do you know that?
Video cameras,
Did you see me in my vehicle?
they're kind of distinct. Just do me a favor, okay? I've already talked to. He's already explaining what happened. Okay, we already know what happened because we talked to the party there. What I don't understand, clearly, is what's going on between you and the guy that was there. From you. Now, you can choose to say nothing, and I'll just go with what they said. Or you can kind of fill me in on what was going on. I mean, you're not a bad guy.
I haven't done anything. I don't know what's going on.
You're not a bad guy. You don't have like an extensive criminal history. I'm sure you maybe do some stupid stuff. Maybe you haven't made the best decisions in the world, but you're not somebody that we will classify as, well, public enemy number one type guy.
No, I'm not. I mean, I stay at home with Social Security. Come on now.
The suspect, whose defenses were already weakening at the time, decided to investigate if the detective knew what he said he knew.
Was I driving? No way.
No.
Who was the driver?
No.
How would you know that if he was?
Dude, I'm not.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Dude, let me stop.
I want to know what all he said. That's it.
I know you do. Okay? I know you do. But you want to play a game that I'm not going to play with you.
Hey, what do you want to
Just
play?
stop. Just stop. Just listen to me a second, okay?
The plan worked perfectly, as Naring not only confessed to a crime, but also bragged about it.
Motherfucker's a bitch. Okay? He fucking deserved it. If I wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have fucking did it.
Why did he deserve it?
He's a robbing motherfucker. He likes to break people's jobs. He wants to rob a motherfucking plug. He wants to come threaten my ass. Tell me he gonna fuck me over, kick down my door, fuck me up when I'm sleeping. Nigga, you got shit fucked up. There's real fuckers in this street. You gonna fucking play? You don't come threatening my ass with a fucking knife from your goddamn house. I'll pull a gun at you, shoot me, motherfucker, shoot me. Fuck you. Don't play with me.
When did that happen?
A while back. That's fucking. It wasn't no fucking premeditated or nothing. It's fucking spread.
So that day,
I called him up. I said, you need something? He said, all right, yeah. Went around the corner. I said, all right, I burned his fucking ass. This is dead honest honesty. I burned his fucking ass. He reached for shit, nothing. I shot the motherfucker, saw his face. He made a noise and I shot the bitch in the fucking head. I'm a real motherfucker, that's why. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't fuck with me, you don't fuck with mine, that's it. He had no reason to treat me the way he did.
How long ago was that he did it to you?
A while back.
Naring was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder. The murder in this case turned out from utmost denial into an unremorseful, cold-blooded murder during the interrogation. The boy in the next case, however, was responsible for taking his mother's life. This is 13-year-old Derek Rossa. A few hours ago, this boy just killed his mom with a huge knife. But instead of feeling guilty, he took a selfie of himself and his dead mom and sent it to his friend as an achievement.
Did you send them any pictures?
Yes.
How many pictures did you send them?
I sent him 2 of my mama and 1 of me.
Okay.
It all happened on October 12, 2023. Derek's mother, 39-year-old Irina Garcia, was tending to her 14-year-old baby when she got into a slight exchange of words with Derek. That night, Derek's stepfather was away at work when Derek's mother instructed Derek not to run outside. Derek replied immediately, asking why she always asked him not to do that.
Tú siempre dices no corra. Pero por ahí tú siempre dices.
Unknown to her, Derek took it to heart. He stabbed her 40 times when she was asleep and the lights were off. In a moment of self-realization, Derek called 911 himself, and he was apprehended by police. On October 13, 2023, exactly 1 day after the incident and having been captured by the police, an already composed Derek was ready for this interrogative session by 2 detectives.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court. If you have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions, and to have a lawyer present with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you desire. If you decide to answer these questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time or until you talk to a lawyer. Waiver of right.
However, there was something pretty noteworthy about this interrogation. It was Derek's willingness. For someone with such a high-profile case, his willingness was striking. It was almost as if he was eager to tell the detectives a story. However, he wasn't willing to do one thing alone, something you would find out at the end of this video.
By you signing that, you're wanting to give us a statement without the presence of a lawyer. You understand that?
Yes.
Is that your wish?
Yes, my wish.
Okay.
The interrogation began with the detectives asking specific details about Derek's stay in that apartment. Derek replied immediately, but his countenance suggested that it hadn't been a pleasant stay.
You lived in that apartment there?
Since I was 11, so 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Okay. Who lives there with you?
My mom, now my sister, because my mom had a daughter a week ago,
okay.
And my stepdad.
What's your...
While he was asked about the identity of the other family members whom he lived with, Derek showed numerous signs of guilt all over him. However, the detectives asked a certain question about Derek's background, one in which his detailed response provided insight into his past, suggesting a potential motive for why he might have committed the act. The interrogation continued, with the detective asking him this.
Oh, what type of knife was it? Do you know?
It was just a big size kitchen knife.
That big?
Yeah.
What color was the handle?
Purple.
Purple?
Yes.
Okay. Your mom was sleeping?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Okay. What did you do after you killed her?
When Derek was asked what he did immediately after the murder, and even before calling 911, he eluded the question in an intelligent manner, one which involved him giving a detailed description of a weapon he probably intended to use to do something unthinkable.
After you killed her.
My stepdad he owns 2 guns. He has a Glock 19.
Okay.
And then, I don't know what to call it, another one.
Okay. What color are they?
The Glock 19 is black, and then the other one has a silver slide and then like a dark bluish handle.
Okay.
Derek had expressed his utmost desire to be helpful throughout the interrogation, but he, however, refused to answer just one question, a question he subtly avoided on 2 different occasions.
Did you stab your mom?
Can I go to the bathroom before I answer that?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Give me 1 second.
You want to think of something?
To tell me the why. Why did you kill your mother? Do you know?
Do I have to say it now?
Yeah, get it off your chest. Absolutely.
Can I wait for a lawyer?
Okay, at this point, you want a lawyer?
Maybe not.
We can't. No, listen. Just so you understand, okay? You have mentioned or asked us, should you wait for a lawyer? We're not here to advise you on whether to talk to a lawyer or not. That decision is yours, okay? But if you are requesting a lawyer at this point, we can't interview you any further. You understand? We have to stop the interview.
Okay.
Do you want us to stop the interview?
Yes.
Okay. Then this interview will end right.
Derek Rossa is being held at the Metro West Detention Center. He is being charged as an adult for first-degree murder and is awaiting trial. These cases have been described as one of the most chilling interrogations ever recorded. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.